Hi, very good morning to you. It's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. In this upload, what I wanted to talk about is protecting the integrity of science, because what's going on in mainstream right now is a perversion of that very statement, especially when we discuss the facts of CO2 and things like that. Before we really get into this video, I think it's worthy of me to say big thanks to those people that support us, our patrons, those people that make off one-off payments on PayPal and help a little to keep us going here. It really is. I do visualize this observatory as one of the last stands in genuine science, because of what we try and do here is keep it real, be honest, and report as we feel it should be done and give it some justice. So when we look at what's going on in mainstream, with them beating the drum on CO2 and how we need to combat that, in a time where there's a lot of people suffering because of the pandemic, wiping them out completely in some cases, and affecting industry and others. Some of you watch a few of the channels probably that I watch as well, and you'll know that there is a big growing concern, excuse the pun, but with crops and crop failures in particular are going to at some point be felt down the road. Could be next year, maybe 2 years from now, and nothing really is being done to prevent this happening, when clearly there are some solutions that could be adapted, but they're just not. It's like the farmers don't turn up to the market with their goods that they've produced this year, we'll just get to the next farmer. And very soon, the demand and pressure for these things that we all appreciate being in the shops are going to start to dwindle. I'm not saying they're going to not turn up in the shops, but they are going to be, becoming more of a rarity, and that will drive the prices higher. In a world where we all live today, where things are already too dear, if you ask me. The food shopping bills have constantly increased, whilst the general wages and job opportunities have decreased. It doesn't make any sense to me as a scientist to stand by and watch these things happen, because what happens if you just let a car crash happen, watch it happen when it could have been preventable. The outcome will be disastrous. And this is the very world that we're living in today, where people that have got their chosen jobs to actually prevent things are failing to do that. Just a couple of days ago we was talking about Matt Hancock, who was the former Minister of Health in the United Kingdom. He's now resigned, believe it or not. And I'm not surprised. If he had any dignity, he would have done it a lot longer ago. But he's gone now, and that's a good thing, because his failures was terrible. He'd helped himself and his friends to lucrative contracts regarding bad PPE, for the pandemic. He'd moved people out of from hospital with COVID-19 into their nursing homes or elderly homes, where the pandemic spread and killed more people. And he broke his own rules that he was telling the rest of the country to abide by self-distancing. He'd broken those rules, and even to the point where he damaged his own marriage through having an affair with one of his colleagues at work. A total and complete shambles. And it should have happened, like I say, a long time ago. But these are people at the end of the day, and they do work in government. And we can all play devil's advocate here and say, well, Matt Hancock was just an ordinary guy, and affairs happen with ordinary guys. But we could also say that, hold on a minute, you had a position of authority, and therefore you were setting precedents to others, and therefore you should have acted a little bit more responsible and had a little bit of dignity. But nevertheless, he's gone. But the point is, the attitude hasn't, and it's going to continue to worsen over the time that we will see, over the coming years. It's not just these public figures that we see having this attitude. There's been a lot of tension increase in the general public over the last 12 months because of the worldwide lockdowns and things like that. I came across an interesting story yesterday where there was 150 cases in 2019 of we could say violence on board aircrafts that was commuting, and that has risen to 2,500 recently. And there hasn't been that much air traffic travel in the pandemic, but for it to jump from 150 cases to 2,500 cases, it's got to the point where the Civil Aviation Authority have had to create adverts to say to people, if you create a situation on an aircraft and it escalates to the point where there are fights breaking out on aircraft, then you can face prosecution and possible imprisonment. But there is an absolute reason why those cases have jumped from 150 to 2,500, without a doubt. There's a reason for that. For it to jump in the period of time where people have been locked down shows that there's been, whilst people have been locked down in their homes, there has been a lot of tension rising within them, and they can't compose themselves in situations. They have to explode and let it out. And this is a clear example of that, for cases to rise from 150 to 2,500 whilst minimal air traffic control or minimal air travel is taking place, is a big jump forward. And we can look at other sectors of occurrences that's happened. There's been a big psychological effect on a lot of people. There's been more marriages break down during the lockdown than there ever has been before. So, this it's significant, to say the least. And we live, in a world where we're having to deal with, on a psychological level now, way more than we ever have done. The bigots will come out 10 times faster now than they ever have done, and the hatred will come out faster than it ever has done. And we're living in a world where really things are falling apart, and some of us can see these things happening and know how to fix them, but there is just no real effort to do that. For me, what is most important is protecting the integrity of science. Reporting it as you find it, informing those people that are relevant to that information, and doing the best job you can as a human being alongside that. I try and help people as much as I can, and I've had to finagle a little on some of the projects that I've got, that I've promised people that I'll finish for them. But I will finish them. It's just a matter of time and expense to myself. I will complete on those things. That's one thing I've always done. I'm very driven in that fact that, and I tell them as well, that when you get the product, you've got to, the biggest battle starts then. It's not just having this prototype in your hands. The biggest battle is the effort that you're going to put into marketing it. And that you can look at in a couple of different ways, but the way I try and encourage it is it's a game, and it doesn't matter if you're losing to start with. It's the fact that you realise how you're losing and then try and correct that. Marketing is like that, that you can try lots of different things, but you might find just one thing that sells that product, and you've got to keep pushing that. So On that, I suppose I should just mention that Richard, your silver generator, the Mark 6, the first of the Mark 6s, is on its way to you, and if anyone else wants one of those Clodge silver generators, and they are probably one of the best on the market. There's another 6 that are 3D printed that are available for you guys. It's £115. That includes the postage and packaging, and it doesn't matter where it goes around the world for that as well. I'll absorb the extra if that needs to be the case, but they're there. Just a strange world we live in. It doesn't seem to get any easier. And when you have a little bit of foresight, you can see things are going to start to get a lot worse. One of the things we're going to start struggling with, because of this modern attitude and adapting, religiously beliefs in CO2 that is going to damage the world and kill everybody, is going to change industry. And I think, with them saying that cows now are not the best for the environment, and we shouldn't eat so much red meat and things like that. I don't think that they see, and I think you're going to definitely agree with me, the effects that this is going to have on the leather industry, the hide industry. We all enjoy leather seats in our cars, leather sofas in our living rooms, belts, bags and shoes, and these things are going to go through the roof in price when we start to reduce the production of cattle, because simply there won't be the amount of hide that we've been accustomed to. So all these things are going to increase in value. I don't think anyone's ever given that any thought, but here in the UK we've just given the green light for, I think it's New Zealand, to produce all our beef. For some reason they want to stamp it out in this country. I can't understand it. Not only is that going to affect and destroy farmers' lives, it's going to affect the leather industry and everything that is produced in this country in that arena. Anyhow, I just wanted to bring a few points over to you guys. I know we're coming close to the end of the month. It'd be great, in fact it'd be amazing, if we could get a few more people to put up a bit of support for the observatory. That really is what we do, and the main days are when we do the Earth Alpha at a glance, and on the 17th of every month. But there's a lot of work that goes in on the background, like running the website, producing these videos, trying to find informative information that is worthy of somebody listening to, and that requires time. So if we could get a little bit more support just before the end of the month's out, it might enable us here to keep a few lights on. That's as simple as that. So without saying anything else, guys, just give a little bit of food for thought there with the things that I've mentioned, and really at the end of the day, it's protecting the integrity of science, and especially in the arena of pole shift. So links down there if you want to help support us, and I'll say what I usually do: you take care of your loved ones. As always, bye for now.